Welcome to Breakthrough Burnout, the bilingual podcast that helps you understand burnout better and gives you solutions to heal and live again. My name is Florence Parrow, and I am a sophrology practitioner, coach, author, and burnout expert. In this podcast, on my own or in conversation with other specialists, in French or in English, I'll help you understand the full picture of burnout to better avoid it or recover from it. Breakthrough Burnout, the podcast that helps you understand and heal. Hello. Well, today for this episode, I am very happy to welcome Nicole Van Valen, who is actually coming to us from the US, which is amazing. Nicole, thank you so much for being here. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yes. Okay. My name is Nicole Van Valen. I am the founder and CEO of Keen Insights. We are a firm that helps organizations and executive teams overcome burnout, manage stress, especially in today's world with the constant changes that are happening. And we do that through resilience. And the twist with it is talking about resilience through joy. So we do a lot of peer-reviewed research of how the importance of joy and infusing that throughout an organization helps organizations thrive, helps them be more productive, helps their employees be more efficient, and especially with working with executive teams, they're modeling the way, and that can trickle down to the employees. So many times people are talking about grit and working harder and pushing through. We've discovered a new way for executives and professionals to thrive with the changes, but also have some joy along the way.
I love that. I love this idea of bringing joy into the mix because I mean it's so right when we look at preventing burnout, especially I mean in all aspects of a company, but especially with management, CEOs, entrepreneurs. It really is about working. There's always something to be done. There's always a lot going on. And if there's too much going on, then it can actually lead to burnout. So taking a different twist to it in a way through joy, I think, is an amazing idea. So when we were discussing to prepare for this episode, you mentioned that you do some assessments and that you look into sort of 8 areas for resilience through joy to see where people are at and what could be good for them. Do you want to go into those areas a little bit to tell us more?
Yes, I would love to. Thank you, Florence. So, in my over 25 years of experience in working in nonprofits, for profit, and corporations, even with a Fortune 7 company, and then I have the background in marriage and family therapy. In all of those experiences with training as well, I've noticed that people do certain things to be resilient. And I understand that looking at individuals holistically is very beneficial to understand where they are in terms of resilience. So we came up with this sphere of resilience self-assessment where people can take it to understand their levels of resilience, whether internal resilience, things that they can control, or external resilience, things that are happening outside of them that they may not be able to control. And so it falls into 8 different domains. And some of the domains, I have it on the side here, are spiritual resilience is one of them. So looking at the person and how they perceive their environment spiritually and themselves, intellectually, emotionally, physically, how resilient they are physically, socially, in their relationships with others, professionally, in their work, financially, and of course, emotionally. So all of these different areas, when we put them together, make up an individual. And then individuals make up teams that are in organizations or families. And then the teams make up an organization, whether that's in a large organization and corporation, or could be entrepreneurs with family-owned businesses. So this all compounds. So it starts individually with one. When we do these assessments, when I'm giving keynote presentations, I'll put up a QR code and have the executives take it, and they enjoy it. It's about 2, 3 minutes, very quick. They get immediate results because we like immediate gratification these days. And they are able to see on their cell phone what their scores are, where they went high internally and externally with their resilience, and all of the 8 domains, and they give them a percentage. So they know what they need to work on. Immediately, they get an email which has that information and gives some recommendations of other tools that can help them in their areas of need. So this assessment, I mean, it was great to create, but it's more enjoyable, I guess, to see people taking the assessment. I put them in groups where they can talk about their results. Some people get a little competitive about their scoring, which is a lot of fun. And then they get to decide, okay, based on my score, I might be doing amazing in certain areas, and I might need some areas of opportunity to connect with coaching or advising so I can improve myself. I remember I was at a conference eating. We were eating. It was in the evening when we had dinner, and I was standing at a table, and then another gentleman was standing with me, and we had a conversation, and he said, don't tell anyone. I can tell you guys because I'm not going to say his name. But he said, don't tell anyone. I have an empathy coach. And I was like, wow, this executive was able to have enough self-awareness, which sometimes as leaders we don't have, um, to get an empathy coach, because today's employees, they want to be able to trust their leaders.
Of course.
They want to feel like they're heard, that they're accepted, and mental health and mental well-being is at the top, especially our students that are in university and they're getting into the workforce. They're looking at culture first to see if they're going to fit into this organization first before taking on a role.
I love that you're saying that, because we're seeing the exact same thing here in Europe, and I was wondering whether it was any different in the US. But I find it very reassuring to hear that young people are actually looking at what's happening inside the company rather than just the role and the income, and they're actually questioning their values, looking at alignment. And I mean, I was in the last episode in English of this podcast, I was interviewing Annette Ebbinghaus, who's a specialist with teenagers. And we were having this conversation as well, that young people nowadays, they are, really looking at what is right for them as well. They're really seeing it in a different way. And I love that, because I think it's full of hope and promise for the future. And I think they've seen probably their parents' generation going through burnout, working like mad, and not getting really the balance in their life for that. So I think it's very reassuring.
So, Florence, when you talk about it, I think about the COVID time. And so I have teens, well, young adults, last one's going to college coming up, and they saw my husband and I working from home. And especially my daughter said, I don't want that life. When we were grilling and we are just trying to get everything done, and it was high stress. And when she said that, I was like, oh, they're really paying attention to what's happening in the home and what's happening in society.
Yes.
Even now, my daughter will say, or kids in university are saying, oh, I go to therapy, or my roommate's going to therapy, just in casual conversation. Back in my day, we would never say we were in therapy. We wouldn't even mention it. It was so hush hush. Now, I mean, there's still some stigma, but with the younger generation, it's a part of life. It's almost like, yes, I'm taking care of myself. And then on the other hand, they're looking at their dollars, where they're spending their money. they will not spend their money with an organization that doesn't align with their values. So it's happening on all aspects. So there, I feel like there's hope
Yeah.
with this next generation coming up.
I agree. I agree. I think it's so important looking at alignment with your values. I think it's one of the main things that you need to look at when you're wanting your work to be fulfilling but not burning you out.
Exactly.
And I like to come back to this idea of joy in, in leadership. And I absolutely love it. I mean, I was telling you before. I remember that when I was in corporate work, I remember one of the top managers telling me, "But Florence, you're always laughing at work," because his office was very near mine. And I remember telling him, "Oh well, of course, sir. Indeed, I'm enjoying working here." And he was speechless, of course, because how can you answer that? But I think it's so important. And actually, it's the day I realized I wasn't singing on my way to work anymore that I realized something needed to shift and change. And that's when I started looking at something other than corporate work. But so I would love to. I don't know, maybe you can give us a few tips or something, or how you see joy really bringing something different to the mix, really helping people become more truly resilient and more balanced and aligned.
Yeah, it's like this secret magic weapon that we all can access if we remember to do it, especially when we're in the height of going through something challenging or difficult. Uh, so like I told you before, I was a therapist and did all of this work, and I noticed that resilient people did three things, and that helped me to develop this model called Ready, Set, Go. So in this Ready, Set, Go model, we talk about getting ready to discover yourself, getting set to design your landscape, and go and deliver on your goals where you're taking action. So this resilience through joy happens initially in the ready state. When you're getting ready, you are taking a pause, taking yourself out of the chaotic environment, out of what's pressuring you, that pressure cooker. Instead of pushing through it, you take a pause and you step outside and you do something that's enjoyable. So for each person, it's different. For me, it would be drinking a hot cup of chai tea. So I really had to say, especially working from home with a family of five, I would notice that drinking tea really relaxes me. So what I had to do was I had to share that with my family members to say, at 5 o'clock, I'm going to stop working. I am going to walk from my office to the kitchen, make a cup of chai, walk back to my office, close the door for 10 to 15 minutes, and drink my tea in silence. This is a gift not just for me, but for you. So you can get me at my best self, and then we can figure out what we're going to do for dinner. And it took some time because, there are interruptions along the way. But I really had to put boundaries there to say, this is my 15 minutes. It's my transition from work to my home life. And this is what I need to be okay. So now when they see me drinking tea, they know it's my time. So funny. Yesterday, I had a meeting with someone, to talk about some opportunities, and I had my big mug of tea. He was like, "That's a huge mug." I go, "Yes, I sip it throughout the day." This is my calming piece. So that's an example of stepping away. Now, everyone's different. Um, some things that would cause me stress would be relaxing to someone else. So my husband loves board games. The kind of games where you have to read the directions before you can make a move. I'm like, I would like to play Connect Four, please. So for him, that brings him joy, right? Uh, you can't force the joy on people, but you can help them discover. what brings them joy, what energizes them, what brings them to life. What is that one thing that when you do it, time goes by quickly and you just are immersed in it, and it's amazing feeling. So back in the day it was dance. Now I like gardening. So I can go, I have two plants that I need to plant now, which I'm so excited. I have a banana tree that's just ready for me to go plant it. Um, so it's that. COVID, I when COVID was around, I kind of had, with my background, I said, okay, we're gonna get up and do yoga every morning at 7 a.m. and we're gonna do this and that. And I don't even like yoga. I don't like it. But I made everyone get up, and then everyone was miserable. My husband and daughter love yoga, but the boys and myself, we don't like it. Finally, they're like, we don't like doing this. I go, I don't like it either. So everyone figured out what they wanted. My daughter ordered art supplies. The boys did video games with their friends in different states. And my husband, of course, the board games. And then I was walking my dog around the block. So everyone has their own. So this is what I share with executives of figuring out what works for them, what brings them joy, so they can come back to work and let that affect the teams in a positive way.
Yes, because it can be different for everyone, can't it? And I mean, it's not like, when you talked about doing yoga at 7:30, and my whole being was like, because I'm not a morning person. Uh, but it's true. Sometimes we feel we have to do things, and whether it's strictly about work or the rest of our lives, we think, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that. And it sort of piles up. And that's how you can find yourself completely overwhelmed with everything you've put there in your life, in your day. And I love that this idea of coming back to what is truly right for you and what you feel is bringing you joy. Do you find that executives are the people you coach, are they finding it easy to find their joy?
I think it depends on their state of mind. So, if they are thinking, I'm in work mode, it can be very difficult to find the joy. If they are not in work mode and they're doing something that triggers, I'm in an enjoyable state. I was just talking to a CEO yesterday, actually, and she used to be in the military. So she's talking about how, very rigid, and this is how things are done. The only time not the only time, but one of the things that triggers her that she is in relaxed mode is that she's drinking a glass of wine. So that's more social. It's a social trigger versus I have to do this, and this, and this for my organization. And I think as executives learn about resilience through joy, or the benefits of infiltrating joy into the system of their life, of their work, then it begins to become one, because we're holistic people. Just like we talked about the sphere of resilience, we can be our whole professionally authentic self, whether we're at home, whether we're at work, or a combination of the two, because we're the same person. It's just more things come to light than others. So my nephew, I call him my nephew assistant. He's my assistant, and he was with me at the conference last week. And we were talking about professionally authentic with other people, other CEOs there, and they're like, "Oh, so is your aunt the same at home as she is here?" And he said, pretty much, right? So I picked up on the so because he went on to say she has the same energy, and went on and on. So behind closed doors later, I said, Malachi, what was that hesitation? He goes, I was like, did you leave anything out? And he said, yes, it's just that you're your same self, same energy, same way of speaking. It's just you're more professional here. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Thank you for saving me.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's exactly that, isn't it? It's like the whole thing. Yeah, when you were discussing 8 areas that you look at etc. It's not just work and then there's personal life, or actually work takes up so much space. I mean, people I work with, often if they're very close to burnout, work has usually taken a whole lot of space in their lives. But it's finding the joy not just in the work you do, which helps because we do spend some time there, but it's a whole thing. And it's maybe you are being in a way nourished by other things in your lives that you can bring into the mix at work and make it more fun, make it more enjoyable for you and for everyone around you. So I think it's really important to remember that we are a whole human being, and it's not just who we are, what we do at work. I think that's so important for balance and alignment as well. So it's really essential.
Florence, when you were saying that, I was thinking about I have an agenda book. Like, oh, I was going to show you, but it's a book and I use different color pens. Like pink is me, purple is my husband. That's his favorite color. Turquoise, my daughter. What? Okay, so different colors. Green for family. And when I was at the peak of burnout in corporate America, black was for work. And black was filled, mostly black, and only a little bit of pink.
Mm-hmm.
And as I segued from corporate world to building my own business, then it changed. Blue was for my business, for Keen Insights. So black was turning to blue, but pink was still small.
Mm.
And then green was getting more. And then it dawned on me as I was flipping through it, where you can just see the colors, I was not taking care of myself. I was taking care of work, building a business, taking care of the family. My dad was going through chemotherapy, so I was a caregiver there. So there was a lot of, because I have my parents as red, and so there was a lot of that color. And then that's where I said, okay, I need to do something different. Developed the Ready, Set, Go model, started applying it, and it works if you remember to do it. And you can even do something small like breathing. Like we breathe all the time, but deep breathing, if you really just close your eyes, really breathe in through your mouth, all the way, expand your stomach and breathe out through your nose, and you do that 3 times, it changes the trajectory of your day. You don't have to go to a retreat and spend all this money and fly to Hawaii or wherever, even though
Although
I
that's
want to do
nice.
it. I want to do that. But you can sit here for 3 seconds
Of course.
and your whole internal world will change of how you see things. Interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so much with you on that one. I mean, I advise, breathing consciously 3 times all the time. So I'm really happy you're coming to that. So we're going to have to bring this gently to an end as I see time running by. We're having so much fun. I mean, we could continue this for hours. So we've talked about bringing joy back into your life, wherever that's coming from and whatever that is. We've talked about really taking time to assess. I love your color coding so that you can really see physically, really, where your time is going and where you're spending your energy. And especially, I think us as women, we tend to take on so much with taking care of the family and the house and all sorts of different projects on top of work. I think it's a great idea to color code it and really see it. So really bringing the realization of where you're spending your time and energy to bring it back to taking care of yourself in any way that you can, even if it's taking a couple of minutes to breathe deeply. Absolutely, which is always a great start. I agree. Is there before we talk about where we can find you and what you can what people can find about you, is there another, I don't know, advice, tips that you would like to share?
Yeah, so it's especially for high-powered executives and leaders and professionals, my biggest advice is to listen to yourself.
Oh gosh, yes.
Listen to your body. Listen to the things that you say to yourself and be cognizant of it. Even if it's say you're saying to yourself, I don't want to do XYZ. Don't do XYZ. Or if you're going to do XYZ because you have to, think about ways that you can do it differently that is more harmonious for yourself. Or if your body is shutting down, listen to it before it really shuts you down and you're in the hospital. I've had so many executives say, I was in the hospital. And they didn't understand how stress has affected their physical being until they were put in the hospital and they were forced to slow down. So we want to be preventative. And your body and your mind gives you signs that you need to do things a little bit differently so you can have a more harmonious life. So that would be my biggest advice. And if you have difficulty figuring out what you should do so that you can have a more enjoyable life and execute on all of the things that you have in your life, that's what we're here to help you with. I have many, many tools. They're all in the book, The Joyful Leader, so you can go through them. I utilize them. Other people have found them helpful to just focus on what needs to be done so you can meet your goals, but do it in a more enjoyable way.
Of course, of course. I'm so with you. Listening to your body, that's really, really the most important thing. Would you mind sharing with us what helps you find serenity in your life, Nicole?
The number one thing for me is my spiritual life.
Mm.
So, spiritual resilience has helped me have a sense of control in my life over the things that I can control and actually be an observer of the things that I can't control, so that I'm not enmeshed in it or less affected in a negative way by it. So that has been for me waking up in the morning and doing a prayer and doing a meditation where I can actually be with myself and not distracted with others influences and things like that, that I can really understand myself. And it's in those quiet moments that the amazing things happen where you have this innovative idea. If you're out there constantly in that chaos, you'll never have that quiet moment to hear yourself. So for me, that is waking up, prayer, meditation, and drinking my chai tea. Like those are my simple joys that get my day going.
That's perfect. Thank you, Nicole. So, if we want to know more about you or find you, so you've talked about the book. So, there's a book coming out called The Joyful Leader. Am I right?
Yes, you're correct. The joyful leader.
Fantastic. I love the title already. So there's a resilience assessment that people can take. I will put a link to that in the show notes.
Perfect.
Was there anything else you wanted to add for people to find you?
Yeah, so another thing as well is we're offering a Joyful Leader Launchpad, which is a mastermind. So it's a peer support group for executives because it can kind of be lonely at the top. So you'll this is where you'll get some insight into how to be a joyful leader, how to meet peak performance and with that joy and resilience along the way. But then you'll also be able to understand from the great minds of other executives that are going through the same thing as you. So it's a 6-week mastermind. So there's an opportunity to expand. So three different levels of how you can become resilient. You can take a complimentary assessment. You can access the book, which is pre-launched, or you can dive right in and get into the mastermind.
Fantastic. Loving it. So we'll put all the details in the show notes. And, you know, keep working on our inner joy.
Yes. So please find me at www.keeninsights.com. That's KEANEINSIGHTS.com. All of the information's there. You can put slash book to find the book, and all of the things are there. But I'm so glad that Florence is going to put in the show notes. We want to build a resilience movement, and I want you guys to join me.
Absolutely. We all need that. Thank you so much, Nicole, for spending this time with me. And we'll see you all very soon for a new episode of Breakthrough Burnout, the podcast that helps you understand and heal.